Let's go, Big Blue. It's the New York Giants squad. Everything New York Giants every week. Breaking down all the big hits and game-changing plays from the G-Men. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. Get ready and squad up. The Giants Squad Show starts now.
All righty then. After another Giant loss, it's the New York Giants Squad Show alongside Mark and Brandon. I am Jay. We are back, and unfortunately, it's after a 38-20 loss to the Eagles in Philadelphia. It's been a while since the Giants have won there. By the way, today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Mark, in the leadoff spot, your thoughts of a 38-20 loss. One in more ways than one was just a loss. We also lost Cam, so a pretty bad day all the way around.
Yeah, it was. It was really bad. I'll start with this. Before the season started, if we all would have said, "Hey, you know what? We're going to split with the Eagles during the season," a lot of people would have said, "No, that's not going to effing work. No effing way that's going to work because the Eagles Super Bowl champion." Blah blah blah. Anyway. Got to split with the Eagles. That's the best part of this whole deal. Now, as far as the game, we'll dive on that as we go along. But it was a bad game. And it wasn't the fact that, the Giants did play bad. That's a given. I will also throw in, this is not the reason they lost. This was one of the worst officiated games I've ever seen. I mean, it was really atrocious. It was bad enough to the point where even the Philly fans knew that some of the calls were just atrocious. But overall, the game was what it was. And unfortunately, in this game, Skattebo, Cam got hurt. It was awful. His ankle is nasty. And to lose him, period, is bad. But the way he got hurt, how it happened during this game, it was just awful.
Yeah, Brandon, your thoughts. As we said, 38-20. And to be honest, it probably wasn't even that close. The Giants were 3 scores to the inferior today.
Yeah. Like Mark mentioned, one of the worst officiated games I've ever seen. I hate officials all the time. So that's always a thing. But it was awful. Eagles fans, enjoy your tush push because that thing's getting killed this offseason with all the times of the false starts that don't get called. That should have been a fumble. That absolutely should have been a fumble with Kayvon Thibodeau ripping that out from Jalen Hurts. This is a Giants team that, look, I'm very publicly in the camp that I don't think Cam Skattebo is going to be a long-term number 1 option in an NFL backfield. But he was your consistent hammer. And so this offense that's already for the overwhelming majority of the season lacked explosive plays. You now lose the guy that's supposed to be able to grind these things out. So coaching staff, get your money's worth because I don't know what your plan is here, but you've got to figure out a whole new game plan to get this offense going on a more consistent week-to-week basis. Defense from the jump wasn't awesome. Just Saquon Barkley, first run, 65-yard touchdown. A lot to figure out for this team. Some of it's going to be things where you kind of just have to go, all right, well, we can't fix that until the offseason anyway. But there's still ways to improve this team, but it does feel like it's just constant attempting to fix these issues that this team always has.
Mark, I don't know what's the bigger takeaway here. The fact that they lost by, as we said, almost 3 scores, or the fact that we lost Cam. I mean, it's like 2 big thoughts there, if you will, and they're sort of combating each other. What's the takeaway here? The loss of the player or the loss of the game, or both?
Well, both. It's going to be both. I mean, we all know football is a brutal sport. Every snap you can lose a player. We know that. Losing games is part of it. You can't win them all. You're going to lose a couple. It's how you lose. And I'll be the first to tell you, yeah, I had high reservations for this team. 9, 8, 9, maybe 10 wins if you could steal a couple. With that being said, seeing the roller coaster that we've seen so far, I would venture to say, minus players that the team's missing, receiver, now Cam, what I've seen today, this is the Giants team, maybe plus, with the players lost, plus 10 points, okay? So we're talking about average of 22, 23 points a game. This is a team that you're looking at. So you lose a game like this, yeah, it hurts. You lose a player like that, Skattebo, yes, that definitely hurts. But going on to the season, this is the team you're going to get, especially when you have a rookie quarterback who's leading it. You don't know what you're going to get. It's going to be feast or famine, roller coaster up and down, but this is it. What can save this season is the play of the defense. There's got to be a consistent play on the defense. I would venture to say, and Brandon, I don't know if you agree with this, but at some point, JU as well, we are going to be on coach watch. How many wins is it going to take for this coach and general manager to keep his job?
Interesting stuff, and we will absolutely get to it. But Brandon, again, and we'll get to Dart and we'll get to the refs. This is a situation now where we're all thinking about Cam, obviously, especially when it's a gruesome injury. It almost makes it worse. But as we said, we need a rallying cry now, Brandon. We need to get going here, despite the fact that we have lost so many skilled players.
Yeah, I will also say I don't think I've ever seen the injured player signal that they're injured that quickly. Like Cam got tackled and immediately did the top of the helmet, the call for the medical staff. Someone tried helping him up and he like pointed to his ankle at it was gruesome to watch. And I don't think I've ever audibly reacted, or maybe one time in my life I've audibly reacted to an injury. But that one was brutal. I think that the only person that really has the juice to be the rallying part of this offense right now, at least, is Jackson Dart. As much as it sucks to say, like, hey, you're the rookie quarterback, there's a lot on you. It's like your wide receiver one's hurt, your running back one is hurt. It has to fall on the rookie QB one that he has these moments where he's just in a zone and it's like, oh, like he's hooping out there. Like that's all he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
But then he also has moments where you're just like, please just get rid of the freaking football. Just throw it away, do something. I think that he's got to be the guy that you really rally around in this case. And it does suck. It does, because before the season, I was going out there going, oh, like in an ideal world, Russell Wilson helps you win enough football games where you don't need to see much of Jackson Dart this year. You can get him up to speed. You can get him going, maybe sprinkle him in here and there. But like ideally, he doesn't need to have all that pressure on him right away.
It's interesting. Yeah, go ahead.
This is football. That's what happens now. You get thrown into the fire there. Your QB1, got to step up more.
All right, let's do the Dart portion now. He was 14 of 24 for $193 and a score. Obviously had the 6 rushes for just 17 yards, including late, which I just couldn't understand why, intentional runs with him late in a 3-score game in the fourth quarter didn't make much sense. But bigger picture, Mark, your thoughts on Dart today, despite the fact that he really has no weapons, none.
No, yeah, he's a boat without oars. That's basically it. And sometimes when you're in that situation, you tend to paddle with your hands and not think with your brain. And you've seen some of his runs he had later in the game. I think the Giants, not more so the Giants, got to protect him. He's got to protect himself. He can't win the game by himself. He can't put the team on his shoulders to manufacture a win by him trying to run over DBs and linebackers. He's got to be smart. He's got to think the long game. And I just think he doesn't know that yet. I'm pretty sure he's watched all the shows and heard fans' comments and maybe a couple of coaches' comments about how he needs to protect himself. He's just not listening. And I hope at some point he does listen, not just to us or others, but listen to his own mind, or parents or somebody say, listen, son, protect yourself, slide. You can't win this game by yourself. You need weapons. The weapons aren't there. The coaches know it. The organizations know it. We know what you can do. We know you're the foundation. We know that. Take care of yourself. Let's build around you and get you to be where we need you to be and for the organization to be.
Yeah, Brandon, your thoughts on Dart. Obviously, it was a difficult day. And that being said, for some reason, the Giants coaching staff, Kafka and obviously Dable, have not taught him how to slide yet. And I just don't get it.
Yeah. Like Mark said, you gotta protect yourself in this league. I
Especially
think
late in the fourth quarter when you're down 3 scores. I mean, I don't get it.
Yep. I've said, like, I'm not a huge fan of the QB designed runs frequently at all. Like that's just not a thing that I like. If you're a franchise quarterback, you're a franchise quarterback. If you're scrambling, or if it's, an RPO or zone read, whatever, then that's a different story, because that doesn't mean that we're going, hey, you're the hammer here. But that stuff like that happens. That's part of offense. But you got to protect yourself. Holding on to the football far too long leaves himself open to these hits because he's looking for the home run ball. Mm-hmm. And I want to say that's a thing that'll just come with experience. Young gunslinging quarterback, you're not going to get 3 touchdowns back in one throw. That's not how it works. You got to kind of just chip away. When they step up, take your shots. If your shot's there, even if they're not stepped up, take your shot, go ahead. But he needs to learn to protect himself. The scrambles, and he's just like, oh yeah, I'll take on this linebacker. It just doesn't make sense. Things like that. Like, that's how you're going to get hurt. If you're getting hit, like it's football. You're going to get hit. That's fine. But if you're holding the ball in the pocket, which I know that the time is going to be like his like time to throw stat is going to look outrageous because he does the whole scramble around and buy time thing. But like, if you're taking hits because you're just standing in the pocket for too long, protect yourself, throw it away, do something different. But he's got to learn. And he said this after his first start against the Chargers, where he was just like, yeah, my mom texted me and she was yelling at me that I need to slide and everything. And so I'm going to take note of that. Haven't really seen it yet. He did a couple times. He slid after picking up the first down earlier in the game. But someone needs to just tell him, like, hey, you're not getting 3 touchdowns back in one play. You got to just, and if you're taking those hits, you're not going to be out there to keep fighting back to these hits. Like, that's not going to happen. So I think that when we talk about that's stuff that Jackson Dart is just going to learn as he gets more experience. And hopefully it won't take, I'll knock on wood right now as I say this, hopefully it won't take, God forbid, an injury to him before he realizes, oh, I need to protect myself.
That seems to be the next thing. And I was thinking that in the fourth quarter, unfortunately, and I didn't want to. I don't want to think that. But my thought was, here we go. Dart's the next one to go down, Mark.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate, the thought process of a lot of fans and some of his teammates. But without all that being said, he's got to take care of himself. I've seen over the last few games that he's still learning, not the position, but the position at the pro level. That clock in your head to get rid of the ball is barely 3 seconds. And if you can manipulate that 3 seconds to 4 or 5 by scrambling, cool, do it. What I saw today, and this, I'll get back to my other point, he throws the ball better scrambling to his left and setting his feet, throwing a good ball, than going to his right. He tries to, it's weird. He throws the ugliest ball scrambling to his right, trying to throw the ball. Like wounded ducks. So I'm thinking, okay, somebody's got to tell him something. I don't know who the quarterback coach is, whatever, but he's got to fix some of the nuances of his game. But I digress. He's learning how to play the pro game. I just hope he makes it through the season so he can go back and look at all the film and to see what teams are doing to him to try to trick him with disguises. So we can see plays that he could check in and out of. So we get the whole grasp of what's going on the pro level. Because on the college level, They don't do that stuff on the college level that they do on the pro level. If he's around long enough and healthy enough to see that, I hope he is, I think he'll be a better quarterback for the future, for next year in the future.
All right, we'll take our first quick break of the show, and then, yes, we'll do the refs. Don't ever tell another fan how to feel about the refs. Nothing irritates me more than bad refs and then other fans telling me that I'm not allowed to be upset about the refs. Anyways, we'll do that next here on the New York Giants Squad Show. All righty, then. We'll start with Prize Picks. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks, the daily fantasy app where making the right call can actually pay off. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right means cashing in. With football back, Prize Picks is the simplest and fastest way to get in on the action. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player projections, and you can turn your takes into real prizes. All in less than 60 seconds. I've been playing Prize Picks lately. It's such a fun way to stay locked in for the season. It's quick, easy, and honestly, my favorite way to follow along with football. I love checking projections like Josh Allen for more or less than 270, Saquon Barkley for more or less than 1 rushing score. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNFL for $50 in lineups after your first $5 play. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. All right, next up is Rougiette. Let's be real, making excuses doesn't solve anything. We've all heard them before. It's just stress, I'm tired, or it happens to everyone sometimes. But when it comes to performance, sometimes your body just needs a little extra support. And that's where Rougiette comes in. Rougiette.com offers fast-acting doctor-prescribed treatments for ED designed to help you stop making excuses and start making moves. Rougiette makes it to get started. You just connect with a board-certified doctor 100% online. No awkward waiting rooms, no in-person appointments. If prescribed, your treatment ships discreetly straight to your door. The process is fast, simple, and private, and it's all handled by real doctors. It's about confidence, connection, and getting back to the moments that matter. Visit rugiet.com/LockedOnNFL to get 15% off your first order. That's rugiet.com/LockedOnNFL. And don't forget to use our code LockedOnNFL so they know we sent you. Rougiette, stop making excuses and start making moves. All right, we are back. And as we said, don't tell me not to be mad at the refs. I saw a lot of that on Twitter today, and today's not the day for that. Mark, that was as bad as it gets. Somehow that is forward progress, and I cannot figure it out. We'll get to the other calls as well, but that was the big one. And to be fair, it changed the game. There's no doubt about it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, whenever the tush push itself, we'll talk about that later as well. The minute you start extending that ball out, that's a live ball. It was stripped. Thibodeau got it. Now, usually back in the old days, they would say, well, the whistle blew the play dead. Now, they're saying forward progress is stopped. Well, the forward progress was not stopped if he's extending the ball. That's a fumble. I did the officiating school at the Bill Baird officiating camp. And I went through all the rules. Whenever the ball is still in motion, whether it's to a catch, you got to continue the catch and get up with the ball, basically do a dance. Whether you extend the ball and try to tuck it in, whatever the rule is, once that ball is extended, the play is still extended. I don't know how they call that what they called it. That was a fumble. Every day of the week, it's a fumble. I don't know why it wasn't called today.
Brandon, to be honest, I hadn't thought about it until now, and for whatever it's worth is nothing. But point is, I'm not sure Jalen Hurts knows the rule because that is a goal line play. That's a goal line reach, not in the middle of the field. Not only that, the whistle never blew. So if you're going to tell me forward progress forward progress isn't stopped until the whistle blows. So on so many levels, this was a mistake.
Yeah, I mean, there's no other way to put it other than the refs screwed up. And again, like, I'm not blaming the officials for losing 38-20, where you scored a late touchdown to make it seem like it was closer than it really was. Like, I'm not doing that, but I do think that the officiating's awful. My complaint that I have all the time is, like, I wish we could just talk about football without needing to go, yeah, the officials screwed these things up. And I don't expect them to be perfect, but things like that, obvious, like guys reaching forward, not on the goal line, ball comes out, that's a fumble. If that was a running back, that's a fumble. He forward progress. I don't know how you can even really say forward progress, because if you're reaching your arm out and you get tackled, then it's where the ball stopped. Like, it's not where your body was. It's not about the progress there. It's where the ball is. And once you're reaching forward, that's it. I don't believe forward progress was stopped, because if he fell forward and didn't fumble, they would have given him the ball. They would have given them the ball where he fell forward. And so I hate that. I hate that that's not a thing that you can challenge. Because that was also the thing where Brian Dable was going nuts on the sideline, and the commentators were like, oh yeah, well, you can't challenge forward progress. You can only challenge that the ball got knocked loose the second contact was made, which it wasn't. But it's just ridiculous to me that that's a thing that you can't challenge, because that should absolutely be a challengeable play. That should have been the Giants' ball. Again, grand scheme of things, might not have changed the result of the game, might have just made it a bit more enjoyable for Giants fans, but that was absolutely awful. And it kind of felt like it just like took the air out of the sails a little bit for the defense, because it's tough to get them into that spot anyway, to stop the tush push, to create any negative play when they run that tush push is a big plus. You had it. You deserve that ball back right there. Refs screwed it, and for some reason, that's not a reviewable play. That's also a thing that irritated me, maybe even more than the ref screwing it, is that's what replay review is there for. That's what challenging plays is there for, to go, hey, refs, I think you screwed this up. I'm challenging the call on the field, but you can't challenge forward progress. That makes absolutely no sense to me. I can't think of a single reason that shouldn't be challengeable, but there we are with bad officiating, dumb rules, and an ugly loss.
Conspiracy theory time, Mark. Tell me if I'm nuts. All right, so we all know that eventually the tush push is going to go away, and today might have been the final straw. Mm-hmm. But do you think the NFL did this purposely so they have an easy way to get rid of the tush push? Because to be honest, I'm surprised they haven't already gotten rid of it. Maybe today was the push it needed.
Well, they can't, because they're already pissed in their bed, and they can't. They got to lay in it until the season's over. That's my own term. But no, it'll go away, but you got to ride it out, because that's the rules that they stayed with. Even though you can't even monitor it, as far as they won't call false start, and the Eagles false start a lot. Now this comes up when a play is obviously a fumble, and now they can't call if it was a fumble or not. So yeah, the play's going away. So the conspiracy is, I think, they let it go. You got to let it go, because you can't just cancel it now. You know, the horse is already in the stream. You can't do it. Next year, it won't be here. So that's where we are. So whatever happens from this point on, it's going to happen. It is what it is. And Philadelphia is the best team to do it. You see other teams try to do it, but they can't. But Philadelphia, it's their rule. They're going to dominate it as much as possible. And until next year, we got to deal with this crap over and over and over.
Yeah, we do. And we have been for a while. There's two other ones, Brandon. Obviously, one that worked in the Giants' favor. That was the missed field goal and a rando whistle somehow. Denying that you blew the whistle and saying you don't know where it came from is laughable. That was bad. The Darius Slayton pass interference, even worse. So if you take that fumble, we still have two other ones that just irritate me to no end.
Yeah. The simple explanation: referees suck. There's just no other way to there's I know that that we talk about oh yeah, offense and defense can play great, and then your kicker can screw it. Referees can screw it as well. They're not even on the team.
Yep.
It's just terrible. The OPI was a clown call. I'm absolutely for hand fighting and getting into it, like things like that, where I feel like we see it more now, more calls that I think are just ridiculous. And it feels like the refs are kind of trying to screw things up, not even in favor of a particular team, just how can we ruin the viewer's experience? How can we do this? And they find ways to do it. The kick on or the whistle on the kick was also interesting to me, because if I'm not mistaken, the ball was already up and the whistle started blowing. I understand that that's the wrong thing, that shouldn't happen. That's the most insignificant thing for Nick Sirianni to be yelling about. The whistle didn't move the ball. The whistle didn't change anything. The ball was already up at that point. It's annoying, but I really don't. I'm sorry. I just don't see why that was such a big deal to Nick Sirianni. And blowing the whistle, stupid. Denying that you blew it or saying you don't know where it came from, even dumber. That's like when you're a kid and you're in school and it's just do you have your homework? And you just go looking through your backpack and it's it's here somewhere, I swear. And you really know you didn't do it. But I don't know. It just felt like such a weird thing. And it did feel like the world was healing, because everybody was just oh my God, these officials suck in this game. And yeah, they suck. They're awful. They were horrendous. It definitely hurts more to watch your team get pummeled and bad officiating, because it just compounds at that point. That's really the only way I could describe it.
It's kind of funny because on Twitter, and obviously we're watching on Twitter as well. There's a lot of people sort of parachuting in and watching snippets, especially with Red Zone these days, watching snippets, and you clearly know they're not watching only the Giants, and they're still seeing bad calls, and they're still talking about how bad the refs are when they're only watching the game in snippets. It just goes to show, Mark, how bad they were today. And yes, this is our first refs segment of the year, but rightfully so. I mean, it was just embarrassing.
Oh yeah, because it was obvious. It was out and out obvious. Now, we all watch a lot of football. We see officials blow a call, maybe two. But to see 4 or 5 in one game, I'm starting getting texts from people going, well, Mark, since all this stuff coming out against the NBA, maybe some of these refs are on. And I'm getting that kind of stuff. And whenever you start getting stuff like that, because you see all these calls being made, you start to think. Now, I know that's not true, but it opens itself up for that kind of conversation. And one of the calls that me and my son were watching the game, when the Giants defensive back Black is covered, I think his name is Dotson, or whatever, I think, from the Eagles, he gets called for PI when the receiver grabs him, throws him away, and catches the ball. And I'm going, I'm not going to say what I really said, but you got to be kidding me. We can't cover anybody anymore without the DBs getting called for the PI. Now, against Slayton, the DB's grabbing on him, and he gets called for PI. I don't know which way is up. There's a movie called Which Way Is Up with Richard Pryor, one of the funniest movies you ever seen.
Yeah.
Anyway, but I don't know which way is up anymore. Just when you think you know what's right and what should be called, doesn't get called. And then you see the BS calls that I think the officials come up with to protect their ass. Those are the ones that get called.
All right, we need to focus in on the defense. Obviously, they have some problems, and it was not a pretty day. We'll do that next. All right, NFL season is back, and honestly, there's nothing better than being in the stadium surrounded by fans cheering on your team. But let's be honest, getting tickets can be a hassle. Between queues, login screens, and prices jumping at checkout, it's frustrating. That's why I use Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to fans. Game Time is fast, easy, and backed by the Game Time guarantee. You'll always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all fees are included, so the price you see is the price you pay. I pulled up Game Time in just a couple of taps. I saw amazing deals. I'm talking about your favorite NFL game as low as $100. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONFL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. All right, obviously the defense was rotten today. We'll start with the run defense because there's portions here. Barkley 150, Tank Bigsby 104, 277 total, Mark, as bad as it gets.
Yeah. Previously in our pre-show, I said I would rather have Philadelphia run the ball. And I said that because it keeps the clock moving and it kind of shortens the game. But the Giants must stop the run. So you can't give up basically, 7 yards to carry almost, 100-yard carries by two backs. Because what that does, it opens up the passing game. I would rather have Jalen Hurts throw the ball 30, 40 times a game. I want that because then that gives the pass rush a chance to get there. But if you're giving up 200 yards, 200-plus yards running to two running backs, you don't deserve to win. I don't know who to blame. We keep blaming the defensive coordinator. We blame the players. But one thing I do know is this. Every time the Giants give up a big run, it's on the defense's left side. That stretch play. And it goes for 65, 70 sometimes yards, sometimes 55 yards. They get gashed. I don't know what that left side or weak side linebacker is doing, but he's not doing enough to stop the run. So I don't know if the D-line needs a two-gap. And what I mean by two-gap is the defense line come up and engage the offensive player. They can go either way, right side or left side, and attack that way. That's called two-gap. I don't know if they need to do that because what I'm seeing right now, these guys are just shooting gaps. They're guessing. And it always opens up a lane on the defensive left side, the offensive right. So if I notice that, I'm pretty sure the flipping Eagles and the Chargers and everybody else know that too. That's why they keep running the effing play to that side with production. And today, two running backs over 100 yards means you can't win until you stop those plays.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm looking at the stats. Barkley's average was 10.7. Horrible. You can't believe that a professional defense would allow that in a game. Hold on, folks. Bigsby, 11.6. Holy cow, that's bad, Brandon.
Yeah, I feel like in a lot of this game, the Giants made it an art form to get into 1st and 15 plus defensively and allow them to convert without even getting to third down. That was the incredible thing. You got them to a 2nd and 31 after Brian Burns' sack of Jalen Hurts, and then Tank Bigsby picks up the first down on a 2nd and 31 run call, picks up the first down. Also, to Mark's point, when the Eagles ran outside the right guard outside the right tackle, outside the right end. When they ran anything outside the right guard to the right side, obviously, they averaged 12 and a half yards per carry. So that's where they were at, which is actually more than Saquon or Tank Bigsby average there. So yeah, it's just awful. I couldn't believe it. And I expected this Giants run defense to not be amazing this year. I hope this is the worst performance we're going to see from them. But it was just, it was tough too, because even the few times that Jalen Hurts scrambled, they hurt you. They hurt you a little bit. The Giants gave up 8 runs of more than 10 yards in this one. It was just brutal and ugly. And like, I hate to say it, but some of these guys just need to recognize where the hell they got to run fit. Something that I feel like watching them sometimes, they have no idea what the fit is, whether it's Darius Musow. I feel like sometimes you just look at them and you're like, where were you supposed to go? Because where you went didn't seem like you were supposed to go in that area. And so, yeah, linebackers need to improve. Bobby Okereke didn't have a great game. There's one of the scrambles, too. It was just, I don't know what it was. Tight end ran a curl in front of him, and he was with the tight end, and it looked like he had eyes in the backfield. Tight end starts to scramble around, and Bobby Okereke just turns and runs completely. And Jalen Hurts picks up the first down on the ground there. Felt like he lost the fastball a little bit this year. Hopefully get it back. But yeah, I mean, this defense they don't know how to fit the run. And I know that they try to go light in the box often, but I mean, at a certain point, you got to add someone in there to try to help you a little bit when you're facing a team like the Eagles, where they're going to go, hey, we're going to run 12 personnel without A.J. Brown, so especially 12 personnel, and we're going to punch you in the freaking mouth until you make us stop. And the Giants just never made him stop.
It's amazing. We're picking on the run defense, and rightfully so. 33 carries for the Eagles, 277 yards. That being said, Jalen Hurts had 4 touchdowns today, Mark. He only completed 15 passes. So nearly a third of his completed passes were touchdowns. Amazing.
He played, as I said before, I knew, well, knowing as I think I know football, I wanted them to run. They're playing exactly what I wanted them to play, but we have to stop them. I'm talking about as a defense player, me being we. Because I've been in situations like this before. I knew they were going to feed Saquon to get him back on board with the offense, no matter what. They're going to feed him the ball. But you got to stop him. And especially with all the turmoil they're having with A.J. Brown, even though he wasn't in, and everybody wants the ball in the passing game. And Jalen Hurts does not want to throw the ball. He doesn't. He wants to give it to Saquon and keep things going, keep things fluid, do a tush push. That's Philly's offense. The Giants know that. I knew that. Stop the run. Make him throw. They couldn't stop the run. So if you can't stop the run and you let that train keep going, and then you let the co-conductor comes in, Brigsby, and run 100 yards too, what do you expect? You throw the ball 15 times and you get 4 touchdowns? Well, somebody on the back end got to stop some damn body.
Yeah, no doubt. And it's funny, Brandon, we talked about it last week, and rightfully so. Shane Bowen should be out. At least that's what I said. I'll speak for myself. That being said, the defense today, far worse than they were in that fourth quarter, except today was all day, not just one quarter. That being said, if Jay Berman thinks that Shane Bowen should have been fired after last week, oh my goodness. See you later, Shane. I don't think it's going to happen, but it should.
I'm torn. I'll be honest with you. I'm torn. I've been very open. Like I like Shane Bowen. I also look at just some of the players out there. Like I watch and I'm like, I don't know if that's a guy that should be getting significant snaps in the NFL. And I'm not saying that to absolve Shane Bowen of anything or any of the offensive coaching staff either. But there are some areas where you go, it's really hard to evaluate some things when I look at the players and I'm like, oh, you don't belong out there at all. Like Darius Musow had an awful game. He belongs out there, just maybe not for 50 snaps or whatever the hell he played today. I am so torn watching like Corey Black.
Yeah.
Like I don't think he should be playing a lot, but he was out there. So I think that when I watch just this team, there are some really talented players on it. There are, especially up front, but I feel like the drop off from the best players, like if you take the top 10 players on the Giants, you go, that's a pretty good top 10 to have on your roster. But then you look at 11 to 20 and you go, that's not a good 11 to 20 have. 21 to 30, you go, that's not good. You've got a really top heavy roster. And if you're in a situation where you can't make the other team throw the football, this defense is screwed. Like you've invested so much in guys that can rush the passer. But if you're down by a bunch and they get to just run the football all day long, you're screwed. You might as well just punt on first down and go, all right, here you go, 2 o'clock again, and let's get out of here. It's just awful. You need someone that can step up and play the run. Going light doesn't work anymore. Like Shane Bowen, you got to fix that part. I know that a few years ago, that was the trend in football when teams were everyone just wants to air it out. We're going to go too high and lighten the box and limit you there and make you run the football. Now teams want to play power football again. They want to punch you in the mouth. And if you're going light in the box, they're going to have no problem doing that to you all day, especially a team like the Eagles. I think Shane Bowen needs adjustments to make. I don't believe he's getting fired, so I'm not like I don't think it's if it does happen, it ain't happening right now, in my opinion. But I do think that if he wants to keep his job, he's got to make some adjustments. I will say one guy that I felt like has been playing run defense better this year than any other year in his career has been Kayvon. I feel like he's had some whiffs in the passing game more often than not, but I do think as far as being a more complete player, I think he's taken some steps defending the edge.
Difficult to take a coach seriously, and I'm not saying the Giants are quitting in any way, but in that defensive room, Mark, perhaps the message isn't getting across from Shane Bowen. And I know that you said, and I think we all agree he's not going to get fired, at least not today. But that being said, that's a difficult message to get across when your team basically on defense stinks.
Well, yeah. And you got to understand, you're only as good as your personnel that you have. If you're playing one of the top NFL offenses with a corner you just brought back on practice squad that you cut early in the season, and he's out there in the live fire.
Playing more than half the snaps, by the way.
Yeah. So you're only as good as your personnel. You could scheme the best schematic defense to stop anybody. But if the personnel don't match your scheme that you're trying to play, you're going to get long runs of 65 yards. You're going to give up some PIs. You're going to give up, a lot of stuff. So I'm not saying that Shane Bowen is an awful DC. We got to look at things in this totality. I know we're talking defense right now. And the same thing can be said about offense. But with defense, you put a lot of money on those front 7 guys, particularly front 5 or 6 guys. And the days of playing small with speed, linebackers and stuff like that, I think Dallas kind of started that stuff back in the mid-'90s with the Ken Nortons and those guys. And it became more of a passing league, and people try to match that. Now these teams are running right at you. And even look at Buffalo with Josh Allen. They got scripted plays for him, which I don't agree with, but he's a big running back. And he's running over linebackers who's weighing 225, 230. So the game has changed back to the big running backs and the power game, running the ball, and that's what Philly's doing. So back to Shane Bowen and the defense. You only play to your strengths with the personnel that you have. And the personnel that he has on the mid to back end ain't cutting it. It just ain't cutting it.
All right, we have to take our final break of the show. When we come back, we'll do the schedule and big picture, because it was a bad day and we want to lick our wounds and we want to pick up the pieces and we want to make each other feel better. We'll try and do that next. All right, let's tell you about FanDuel. The NBA is back. How about that? And there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of a game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, let's do it. And obviously, the section of the schedule featuring NFC teams is what we focused on all week. As we said, Philly, San Francisco, Chicago, Green Bay, and Detroit. NFC teams in a row. Well, they're 0 for 1 to start. San Francisco next week. Brandon, this was the part of the schedule that we sort of eyed and said, get hot. Do it right here. And so far, the Giants have.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to be doing that. This is still probably your best chance to do it. I think most of us assume, hey, Cam Skattebo is going to be out for the year with an injury like that. This is, and regardless of your talent, like, you're not getting Malik Neighbors back. You're not getting Cam Skattebo back. The two guys that were focal points of the offense, whether or not you anticipated that being Cam Skattebo as a rookie, he is not coming back. This is still the part of the schedule where if you're going to do anything against the Niners, the Bears, maybe the Patriots. I mean, they destroyed the Browns today, which I know the Browns aren't a great team, but spoiler alert, neither are the Giants.
Mm-hmm.
And so I do think that this is still the point where if you're going to win games, it's going to come here. But like I mentioned at the top of the show, I just look at this game and I look at the schedule and I go, all right, well, Malik Neighbors is hurt. That was your dynamic, explosive, dominant receiver. Cam Skattebo is hurt. That was your guy that's going to pick up the tough yardage for you. Like, Cam Skattebo doesn't usually rip off these big runs. But if you need 2 yards, he's going to get you 4. If you need 3 yards, he's going to get you 4. If you need 4, he's going to get you 4. Hell, if you need 5, he might still just get you 4. But he's going to get you 4 yards. He's going to be really consistent with it. And he's gone. And so now you've got Tyron Tracy. If he's going to, break out a little bit again, if he's going to wake up again, Devin Singletary contributing more. Had a hell of a catch, by the way, deep downfield over Nakobe Dean. Didn't think he was going to reel that one in. But you're at a point where your roster is not great. 2 of the more reliable players on the offense are out. And like Mark mentioned last week, like, they probably weren't going to trade for anyone because of what the season looks like, and it looks more bleak now, so they're probably especially not going to trade for someone. It's going to be brutal. I don't know how your offense operates and functions and puts up more than 18 points per game the rest of the way. It's going to be really tough, and that's not winning offense. And when you have a defense that is really dependent on forcing other teams to throw the ball, and you're getting gashed on the ground and you're not scoring a lot, you're not forcing anyone to do anything. It kind of feels like the Giants are just at the will of the opposition at this point.
Mark, you obviously did not experience very much losing in the NFL. That being said, Brian Daboll has a responsibility to keep it together here, despite the fact that they're 2-6 with 9 games to go. Man, that is not an easy job.
Yeah, well, I would suggest you do this. Crack a beer.
Many.
And be in deep thought. Because I'll tell you, it'll be tough. But being the professional that we all have to be in this game of football, no matter how bad it looks or how bad it's perceived to be, we still got to go into work. We got to get it done. And I say we collectively being still an ambassador of football, of NFL football. And every job is tough. His job is no easier than Coach Glenn with the Jets. So it's tough. He's got to still find a way to rally those guys to come into work to get the damn job done. The season is not over. He's still got to come back next week, get San Fran, who is a beatable team. No matter who's playing for you offensively or defensively, they still got to get the job done. Now, back to the point you made, Jay, his job is tough. But back to my point, just crack a few of these and get your friends around and just have some conversation and just get it done.
It's funny because this roller coaster that we've been on for not even half a season, Brandon, has been ridiculous, from the Dallas game to the New Orleans game, obviously to last week with Denver, now to the injuries this week and the bad ref. I mean, it has been seasons wrapped into 8 weeks.
Yeah, it's going to suck. There's no other way to put it. It's going to suck. It's going to be real tough. I feel like we're at the point where, we're at a point where it's going to be really tough. Fans are going to start checking out. You've lost, you're 2-6 right now. You've lost your wide receiver 1. You've lost running back 1. You lost a quarterback to a concussion that was caused by his own teammate kind of punching him in the face there, accidentally going for the ball. So we had friendly fire there. Daniel Bellinger got hurt, who nobody expected to be a reliable part of the offense, but after Malik Neighbors got hurt, they wanted to go more 12 personnel, and he kind of became a part of that. Was kind of having some success in the passing game. No idea what he's going to look like, if he's going to be back next week or however long that might take. But it's brutal. It's going to be really brutal. Your team's going to have to grit and grind for yards and fight, and Giants fans there's going to be a lot of fans that check out, honestly. Watch QB1. Just look at your guy that's supposed to be the future. Wins, not a lot of them coming. If you were like me and you bet the win over before the year, I recommend hedging that by betting under for the rest of the year, if that's possible. Yeah, it's going to be ugly. It's going to be brutal, and it's going to be really gross. But I do think that there are some bright spots in this team. It just does also suck from a fan perspective. It does suck that 2 of those bright spots are the guys that got injured and are going to miss the remainder of the season. But for Giants fans, just buckle up and get ready. I'm sure mock drafts will start coming out at some point soon, how it always goes. As far as maybe look up some coach candidates, because I do think that there's going to be a number for Brian Daboll. And unless that number is 5, maybe 6, I don't think they're hitting that number at this point. Just injuries have piled up, and that sucks. But at the same time, ownership should and hopefully will look at Joe Shane and Brian Daboll and go, all right, the number that we've adjusted because of injuries and everything is 5 or 6. And if you don't get there, that's on you. Like, the depth is the depth because you've built this roster. You no longer have any excuses, anything. The depth is the depth because you built this roster. The holes on the roster are the holes on the roster because you built this roster. If you can't win 5 or 6 with your current roster, you probably shouldn't be here. And that sucks. I do like Brian Daboll. I just, at a certain point, you got to go, it's just not happening here.
Mark, let me ask you this. Do you expect to see a veteran receiver added to the roster, or is there a message being sent by the front office if they don't get a receiver that it's just playing out the string? I mean, I know you're never going to have anybody say that, but the point is, do you expect to see a receiver, and how much of an impact does that have on the rest of the team, knowing that the front office is not quitting?
I honestly don't know. I don't see another receiver coming in. Because we have the trade deadline coming up. I don't believe that the Giants would deal draft capital away to waste on a losing season.
Right.
With that being said, who else can you bring in? You gonna bring in a guy who's been out of the league for a year or two just to bring him in on the veteran minimum? You pay him $500,000, whatever, for the rest of the year, prorated contract. So I don't know. And I agree with Brandon. And I said this in previous shows. We are now on coach watch and GM watch. I don't know what that number is going to be. But if the Giants, at the end of the day, are contemplating, thinking about moving on with Shane and Dable, they better make damn sure that whoever they bring in, or they're looking at somebody to bring in, can handle the New York media. I know a lot of players can't handle it. Maybe some coaches can't handle it.
Aaron Glenn can't.
It's a whole different animal. So you got to make sure whoever you're looking at, you want to get rid of those guys. You better make sure whatever you're thinking. Well, injuries, the roster. I know you built it. Whatever. Do you get another chance, another shot, or do you want to bring somebody else in? Just make sure all those variables are there, including who you want to bring in who can handle that pressure.
Interesting, because if I put a gun to my head right now and you ask me who's coaching and who's GMing week 1 next season, it ain't Dable and it ain't Shane. Your thoughts, Brandon?
It might be what this team needs, right? Might be what the organization needs. And I try to be as blunt as possible about it. Like I don't think that anybody, and I think this is more common with, again, like I cover college as well, and I think it's more common in college where people check out on this coaching staff or anything like that. And like I've said, like I cover Florida. We just fired Billy Napier. It wasn't anything malicious. It's just like, hey, sometimes you're just not good enough, and that's all it needs to be. I do think Brian Dable will land on his feet. I think he's still a good offensive schemer. But I've questioned the head coach ability, because I do think that we see times where this team gets knocked down and they don't really come back fighting. And that really irritates me. Like a year or two ago, whenever Dallas blew the doors off early in the season, I still remember watching them like they checked out and it's week 1. Like they're already done. And so I think that happens far too often here, where they're just not a team that bounces back and fights back. And I do think part of that comes to the coaching staff. As far as general manager Joe Shane, like you've nailed some picks, but I do think it's fair to say his hit rate is significantly lower than other GMs across the league. And you just have to be better. You need to draft better. You can't just go, all right, well, we nailed our 3rd overall pick of Abdul Carter. Like, yeah, that's the easy thing to do. It's when you have your day 3 picks that aren't panning out and aren't like Corey Black getting cut before the season even starts. Like I know that you go, okay, well, he's a 7th round pick, so there's not significant investment. It's easy to cut. There are also 7th round picks that at least make an opening day roster, and you can at least stick through there. And so I do think that this has been too many failures. There have been bright spots, but I think there's been too many failures in critical moments on the coaching staff and in critical points of building, especially the depth of a roster by this general manager and this front office. And I think at a certain point, you just go, hey, it's time. I'm fully fine with saying, hey, we'll give you get your 5 or 6 wins, whatever the number is going to be, and say, hey, that's the number. If you get that, you keep your job. Give them until they are mathematically incapable of getting that. It just feels like it's one of those things where you go, hey, like even if I am pulling for you, it feels like the writing's on the wall.
Other than a win, Mark, what are you looking to see against San Francisco? Because I don't know what the expectations are now, especially without, as Brandon said, wide receiver 1, without running back 1. I don't know what to expect. Do we expect them to get their doors blown off again, or do we expect them to fight?
No, they're going to fight. I mean, that's what we do. That's what we paid to do. Listen, San Fran, they're not blowing their doors off anybody either. So whether the team's up without their number 1 receiver and running back, that's part of the league. But I never expect any of these players to just check out and just give up. They're playing for jobs, not just jobs with the Giants, but throughout the league, maybe on other teams. and so are coaches, head coaches, assistant coaches as well. So, yeah, they're going to play. Now, I don't know what to expect because based on this season, I've seen them look like world beaters, and then I've seen them, they couldn't beat Rutgers. So I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to see. But I hope to see them being competitive. That's all I ask. As a former player, you never want to see another player just give up and quit. And I have not seen that so far, and I don't expect to see it moving forward.
All right, so the Giants lose 38-20. As we said, they are now 2-6. They failed to sweep the Eagles for the first time since 2007. We know how that season ended. Speaking of endings, that's it for this New York Giants Squad Show. For Brandon and Mark, I am Jay. We'll see you on Thursday as we preview Week 9 against the Niners. Have a great night, everyone.